This is a story about a relationship. To be honest, one of the most impactful relationships in my life. We met when I was 13. In the beginning, it was amazing. Really felt like the greatest love I'd ever known. The kind of love that you cried when you had to leave, the kind of love that you couldn't wait to share with your friends, the kind of love, well, at 13 you didn't really know, but you knew there was something special. Something maybe you couldn't name, but you knew it was special. And maybe this was my first great life lesson. Relationships change. And I changed along with her. And even though I haven't met many of you, you've all met her. Softball was my first relationship. I met softball. I fell in love with softball. I sacrificed everything for her. I swore I would never be anything without her. And then I broke up with her. This is a story about how my first true love, a love that lifted me up, broke my heart that I made a painful decision to walk away, but ultimately I've realized that my first true love provided me with a foundation and a set of experiences that would guide me long after I put my glove down. I started this story talking about a relationship with her, but really it's a story about a relationship with a lot of hers, because the greatest gift of softball, of all sports, is that the games we play bring people together. People of all walks of life, people of different backgrounds, different personalities, and in the end, it's the people we meet, the experiences we share, and the lessons we learn on the field and in the dugout. That's truly why we play. I watched her participate in 75 games this college season. The difference between the good teams and the best teams is teamsmanship. What is teamsmanship? Florida State says it best on their homepage. A team, a family. There are very few places where the value of team shows up as much as it does in sports. Great teams want to do well because they love their teammates and don't want to let them down. Great teams recognize that even if a pitcher throws a perfect game, they won't win if they can't score a run. The University of Washington players do this after every strike. They literally act like every strike is the final out of the most important game of their careers. They do this after every single pitch and every single inning. Florida State became the only team in the current format to come back and win a championship after losing the first game. Only the third team ever. Lonnie Alameda called a team meeting following the loss to UCLA, and the team decided, why not us? They won the next 6 to win the World Series. Learning the importance of being a good teammate translates into everything you will do in your life. Being a good teammate means not caring who gets the credit. It means sharing the burden and dividing the grief. It means celebrating victories as much as mourning the losses. It means wanting to do whatever it takes to win, even if it means sitting on the bench. It means being genuinely happy when someone gets the winning hit and you had struck out during the prior at bat. I've been to nationals as a player, a coach, and an umpire. As a player, my fondest memories are the evenings in the hotel rooms. We might have gotten into a little trouble, typically ending in a noise complaint. We talked about everything. As a coach, it was hanging with the moms, talking about how anything but softball, and usually about you girls. This was my first introduction to white wine. As an umpire, it's talking about the plays during the day and relaxing from what is always a long, hot, mentally and physically exhausting day. What all three experiences have in common is fun. That's what this is all about, having fun and building friendships. Softball taught me how to be a leader, how to be a great employee, crewmate, friend, sister, daughter, aunt, mother, and partner. If it sounds like I'm giving sports a lot of credit, it's true, I am. Everything I said above, I didn't know when I was 15. I knew I hated to lose, but never really thought about why I was actually doing it. My entire goal was to get a Division I scholarship, and specifically I wanted to go to a school in California. My dad continued to remind me that I needed to make sure I picked a school that I would want to go to whether I was playing softball or not. Softball was not going to be my job. He also wasn't convinced I was a Division I athlete. He didn't say this to be mean. I didn't even take it that way. He said it because he didn't want me to be disappointed if it didn't happen. As I've learned, no parent wants their kids to feel disappointment. Instead, it made me want it more, and now for the wrong reasons. At this point, it was about ego and a little bit of spite. Well, I got my scholarship to a Division I school in California and signed early in November of my senior year. The pressure was off. I could go into high school basketball season, then softball season before summer ball. I got picked up by the best team in the region and had the summer of my life, living with teammates a couple days a week in Bremerton, playing tournaments every weekend. With the pressure of the scholarship off, I could play loose, I could have fun, and we sure did. The college season started that fall. We had 5 incoming freshmen that all won starting positions: first, short, third, catcher, and left field. But it was hard. A typical day looks something like this. Go to class from 8:30 to 11:30, immediately head to the training facility to get taped, spend 45 minutes on the elliptical. You got to keep that freshman 15 off. Pitchers and catchers then went out early for a workout. The team joined us around 2, practiced from 2 to 4:30, followed by a few mile run, back to the locker room for ice and shower, study hall for freshmen from 6 to 9. This was my life. I liked most of my teammates, but not all. School wasn't challenging. I was far from home. Something was always hurting. We weren't really winning. I'd never experienced losing before, and it didn't feel like anyone even cared. By the end of my freshman year, my dad could tell that I wasn't loving it. He encouraged me to apply to stronger academic schools just so I had options. I reluctantly agreed. We got a new coach in the fall of my sophomore year. For the first time, I had a coach I didn't like, and I'm fairly certain did not like me. I had decided I was going to transfer at the end of the season. This is the part that not many people know. I rode the bench my entire sophomore season, playing less innings than any one other player. I had never failed before. I had decided I was going to quit before the last weekend and not travel with the team to Utah State. Instead of doing this the right way and walking into the coach's office, I just didn't show up to the team bus to head to the airport. Everyone was so worried. This was 1997, so before people were carrying cell phones. My pager was blowing up. When the coach finally called my dad to tell him I was missing, he told her it was over and that I would no longer be playing for her. Here's the part I didn't recognize until it was too late. I hurt my teammates. I scared my teammates, my friends, and I lost my identity all by one action. I was embarrassed. Softball was dead to me for the next 10 years. I never mentioned her again. I didn't watch a game. I couldn't even name a player. I dove into my career. It became my entire focus. I climbed the corporate ladder, gaining a bigger title and job with every transfer. Living in Portland, Chicago, Milwaukee, Chicago again, and finally back to Seattle. I had no balance whatsoever. I spent most weekends on airplanes, still do for that matter. This went on for 9 years. By the end of 2008, the financial markets crashed and I went through a divorce. Everything I knew imploded. So I turned back to softball and started umpiring. I made amazing new friends and met some of the most loyal people in my life. I changed careers and moved into tech for a company out of the UK, working from home and traveling the world. I found balance. Softball saved me, but this time for non-egocentric reasons, this time with love. I encourage all of you to think about why you play softball and how it's going to change your life. It will be for the positive if you let it. You have an entire week with amazing weather, great umpires, the hardest working staff in the country, a great group of coaches, and most importantly, your friends. I challenge all of you to think about how you're going to be great and what you're going to do to encourage your teammates, your friends this week. You never know how this week might change your future. Steve Jobs said it best, you can't connect dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future.